Hello, virtuous leaders, scholars, and virtuous change agents. My name is Dr. Lisa Marie Portugal, and I am the Leadership Architect. Thank you so much for joining me today for this talk. I have a new one for you, and this is based upon one of my books called A Culture of Excellence, Virtuous Leadership Principles for Organizational Success, a Management System. And as you can see, I have a beautiful graphic there on the first slide. It is called the 4 Cardinal Virtues: prudence, justice, fortitude, and temperance. And this particular lecture today is called Logic and Philosophy. So let me read to you my introduction that I'm going to be doing for this particular series to start out every talk. All right, so live virtuously. I want to invite you to live virtuously. We cannot achieve greatness or magnanimity unless and until we master the virtues within ourselves. Reaching greatness or magnanimity is about virtue building within ourselves, our families, communities, and others. We cannot achieve magnanimity until fortitude, self-control, counsel, justice, prudence, understanding, respect for others, temperance, humility, charity, piety, and courage are present first within us. We cannot give to others what we do not possess ourselves. So understanding how to master ourselves and build virtue is the first, ongoing, and last step required for magnanimity. And I love that word, magnanimity. It is one of the virtues, and it means greatness. And mastering the virtues is a lifelong and ongoing process throughout our entire lives. When we fall, pick yourself up and start the practice of virtue building again, and do this throughout your entire life. Magnanimity is an ongoing process and a focus we should have throughout our lives. It is also a focus we should have for working with, mentoring, and coaching others to greatness. We can build virtue within ourselves and help others in our sphere of influence to achieve greatness in their own lives by teaching the virtues and living the virtues in everything we do. So I'd like to invite you to live virtuously. Okay, so table of contents today. I will introduce myself, but I won't go into the lengthy reading of my bio there. I did that on the first talk, but you can stop the slide and read through it if you're interested. We will talk about logical and imaginative leadership skills. Logical first, and then imaginative, logic and philosophy, and then we'll close with education and leadership study. Okay, so there is my bio for you. As you can see, I've got my degrees listed, my experience, as you can see, and then also my expertise and research interests. And I write books. I also publish peer-reviewed papers in all of these areas listed here. And I also wanted to add a picture of myself. That is me at the on a trail ride at the Bradshaw Mountains in Arizona. So if you're familiar with that area, you know how beautiful it is. I'm wearing my padded gear there. I can say that I didn't always wear my padded gear, and, I paid a heavy price whenever I fell off my bike in the early days. And so there I am with my gear. Okay, so let's continue on. All right, so the first header here we have is logical and imaginative leadership skills. Although being courageous, helpful, honest, imaginative, logical, and responsible are attributes needed to be a successful leader, for the purposes of this talk today, being logical and imaginative are discussed in greater detail. And the graphic that I have there for you, I think that is so cool. That is the cover of one of my books. The front is the blue side on the right, and the back of the book is the back side. That's just the image. Of course, the book is, I think it's on teacher leadership. But I think that's so cool. Managers light a fire under people, and leaders light a fire in people. And so hopefully with this talk today and any of the other talks that I produce for you and create for you, my goal is to light a fire in you. So whatever your natural skills and abilities and talents and attributes are, I want to help you raise whatever you have naturally within you, your strengths, help you to, start thinking about your weaknesses and how you can turn that around. Weaknesses can be turned into something very powerful. And also, I want to be able to inspire you. I know that oftentimes throughout my life, many people have come and gone throughout my life. The good ones, of course, we want to stay, and they do. But, oftentimes people will just say one word to me, one sentence to me, one idea or concept that literally changed my life. Like I remember when I was in high school, one of my English teachers said, you'd make a great English teacher. And I didn't think about it at the time. I went out and did 12 years of management in advertising, sales, and management. And so after doing that for 12 years and in leadership right out there in the field, I remembered back to that high school English teacher, and that one statement she made to me put me on this track of education. And as you can see, clearly, I took the ball and ran with it. It took me many years later. But my point about this conversation is that now, in the future, at any time, anything that I present to you, I hope it inspires you and helps you start thinking more deeply about your own path, both personal and professional, and how you can inspire others and what it is that you want to do with your life, or in areas that you want to improve or areas that you want to excel, right? So just keep that in mind. Just a simple word sometimes can change our lives. Okay, so let's continue on. Okay, logical. I am on slide 6. Here we go. Logic and philosophy play a large role in understanding and making right choices and right actions for leadership effectiveness. Philosophy and logic training is largely missing from many academic programs, higher education, K-12 instruction, professional development, and institutional course design. Philosophy is an integral factor related to every area of human and every area of human inquiry, and logic is the foundation that constructs philosophy. Having an understanding between philosophy and logic can aid leaders in grasping the value of both. The concept of philosophy means having a love of wisdom. I love that, right? Clearly, I am a seeker of wisdom, and I have a great love of wisdom, and I'm sure you do as well. That's why you're here today listening to this lecture. Love meaning a passion, right? So obviously you can tell I have a passion for writing and teaching and talking about leadership and character education and virtuous leadership, virtue building. And I have many other passions, of course. And hopefully this talk will help ignite your passion as well. And wisdom meaning understanding and knowledge. Right philosophy can provide an accurate and reliable understanding of the self, reality, and the world. The notion of philosophy can provide valuable concepts related to subjectivity versus objectivity in medicine, politics, religion, art, and science. So philosophy helps us have right choices, right action, and logical thinking. Okay, next slide. The act of evaluating, reasoning, and arguments is known as the science of logic. The act of critical thinking involves an evaluative process using logic to separate falsehood from truth and unreasonable from reasonable views. Leaders who desire to accurately assess various arguments, ideas, and claims that they confront need a more comprehensive understanding of the process of critical thinking and basic logic skills. When evaluating arguments, there are distinct criteria and principles that must be applied. Logic is not about opinion. Keep that in mind. When leaders apply the criteria and principles of logic, then one is using logic. If those criteria and principles are not applied, then one is not able to claim he or she is using logic or even being logical. Having these skills is important because individuals may not recognize that what might appear to sound reasonable may not be logical. And the process of reasoning involves the application of principles of logic in one's arguments, thinking, and reasoning, which is crucial to the practice of philosophy. Leaders who understand and value the process of critical thinking and the principles and practices related to the logic of philosophy will have a better perspective when making decisions and evaluating actions, views, beliefs, arguments, ideas, claims, and even situations that we are in or we find ourselves in. Okay, imaginative. Leaders possessing a strong imagination may be better able to address unexpected challenges. And imagination is really cool for me because that is what helps me create new things all the time, right? Come up with new concepts, new ideas, new papers, new books to write, new things to introduce to you for you to think about. Furthermore, having imaginative skills can aid in steering people and organizations to improved outcomes. Compelling leadership depends upon a combination of typically mentioned characteristics and skills such as excellent communication, empathy, and trustworthiness. However, one of the most unnoticed traits that effective leaders can possess is an energetic, imaginative sensibility. I love that statement. Leaders possessing an imaginative ability can find creative solutions to unforeseen problems. In addition, imaginative leaders can discover innovative approaches to developing and leading teams. Moreover, these types of leaders have the ability to visualize challenges that their organization may encounter far into the future. I call that strategizing. I really like to develop and work on my skill of strategizing and looking ahead to anticipate what could go wrong here, what could go wrong there, to anticipate issues and challenges that I may encounter, whether it's in my personal or my professional life, right? I like to plan ahead, I like to strategize, and I like to educate myself to find, to look for those pitfalls so that, I can mitigate them or they don't happen. So finally, imaginative leaders can recognize talent in unexpected places. And for you as a leader or as a future leader, you want to be able to have a good eye for spotting talent in other people. And I know people early on in my career when I was very young would spot things in me that I didn't even know I had within me, right? So you as a future leader or a leader today, you want to be able to spot talent inside of people that you can help them develop. Imaginative leaders or imaginative leadership is a valuable attribute for innovators, visionaries, and thought leaders. And clearly, you are all three of those things if you're listening to this talk today. You are a thought leader. Okay, slide number 9. Let's take a look at that. This slide is about logic and philosophy. The use of logic is the most foundational branch of philosophy. In fact, philosophy and logic are intricately intertwined. The notion of philosophy is the basis for all other branches of human inquiry. The act of logic is based upon reasoning. Furthermore, the study of logic is about making sound arguments as well as identifying and understanding the types of errors one can make in reasoning. Leaders who study logic can gain the ability to think more clearly while becoming a better philosopher in general. And logic is a method in which one can think more clearly while basing his or her reasoning on objective facts used when practicing philosophy. For example, the general science of inference is the use of logic. Logic involves inductive and deductive reasoning. Aristotle applied logic to base his philosophy in developing the mechanisms of deductive reasoning. He then applied these specific concepts to politics, ethics, metaphysics, and science. In fact, logic and philosophy cannot be separated, and one cannot have one without the other. Philosophy is based upon the notion that one needs to think clearly to confront minor and major questions of the macrocosm, right? The larger picture. Finally, the use and practice of logic is the way in which leaders can accomplish significant tasks. So, of course, I'm just introducing some of these concepts to you today, but as you move forward in your personal and professional life, you might be interested in studying logic and philosophy. So recalling a leadership example from my past, I have evaluated occurrences that require leadership action, and I examine whether soft or hard strategies are better utilized. So for yourself, start self-reflecting more often about situations that you have encountered in the past and how you might change anything that could have been changed to improve the situation so that you can move forward with some of those self-reflection skills. Let's see. As a leader, it is always important to examine our past actions, to self-reflect, and consider alternative pathways to success when leading and managing others. Self-reflection can be a powerful tool that can aid in making positive changes in our approaches and actions as we continue to grow in our leadership style and brand. As a leadership educator, I continually develop my leadership skills by professional development opportunities and lifelong learning pursuits coupled with curiosity. And this is something that you can do as well. You know, obviously you're listening to this, so you're looking for ways to improve yourself, and we can do that in many areas of our life. Reading leadership books, listening to leadership talks or character development, those are good ways to start. And then, of course, taking classes as well. And then someday you will be a leadership producer as well, a leadership producer of people and possibly of other materials that people can learn from. So not many people have the opportunity to study leadership or understand leadership theory, but it is important for us to be cognizant of that so that we can raise our own leadership competencies within our lives. As an educator, I know that most people do not have opportunities to research leadership or are even trained properly regarding leading and managing others to success. Furthermore, some people who tend to rise to management typically do not rise for excellent leadership qualities, but rather for various other reasons. Therefore, this also explains the lack of quality leadership in some workplace settings. People tend to rise for many other reasons not related to virtuous leadership competencies and having an ability to inspire, motivate, and lead others in effective ways. As a leadership educator, I am familiar with leadership theory, and I put those best practices into my own leadership style in every educational interaction I have with others. In my view, soft people skills are required for leadership finesse and sophistication. When I have failed in the past at leading others, it has typically been because I did not appropriately apply soft people leadership skills, but rather hard technical skills. I try to be mindful of using soft people skills rather than rigid policy applications. Although policies and standards are required to be upheld in my professional workplace, and I still make it a point to be mindful of soft people skills when communicating with others. So it's always about how we communicate with others. If we have to get those policies and standards and procedures across, it's something that we cannot avoid. But, having finesse and sophistication in communicating with others is an important skill for us to develop. Finally, I practice a virtuous leadership model. Leaders should lead others with moral virtues of humility, prudence, temperance, respect for others, justice, wisdom, understanding, fortitude, charity, piety, counsel, and knowledge. How often do we hear any of those virtues voiced anywhere within our society today? Well, you can be that virtuous leadership voice for our culture and for our society. These are values that can be developed as part of a professional leadership program and applied in work and school environments. Leaders should be aware that a sense of buy-in from those they lead is important to any change agenda or initiative. This task can be accomplished more effectively if shareholders feel they are permitted to share in leadership tasks, objectives, goals, mission, and vision. Furthermore, when followers feel respected and appreciated, buy-in can be established to achieve your goals. I like the notion of leader as coach theme when working with others in the workplace. Leadership from a coaching perspective can involve a leader selecting team members and other staffers to assist in a general direction and to assist in training and developing the team with the skills needed by the team to perform. Further, a leadership coaching style can help team members seek out resources and information the team needs. When employees feel part of a team as well as needed in authoring the direction of the team, buy-in and loyalty can manifest. So that last paragraph is very important to think about and ruminate on, because when we choose team members, or when team members are given to us in any situation, you want to be able to let other people author their direction. If people feel they have they're allowed to author the direction they're going on a project or within a team that they're working on, and they're allowed to use their skills and abilities and attributes to help the team grow and to help themselves grow, you're going to get more buy-in, right? So we want to use that leader as coach method rather than top-down authoritative bully pulpit, right? Okay, so my last slide for you is, in conclusion, education and leadership study. Education has changed my life for the better. In addition, my educational attainment has afforded me the opportunity to learn about leadership theory and models. Furthermore, my education has given me the tools to understand how to research, where to look for accurate research, how to discern facts and truth from lies, subversion, manipulation, and logical fallacies. Just so you know, that's a whole other study within itself, logical fallacies. Look that up. In addition, I have gained the talent, skills, and ability to educate others and help them succeed. Now, the reason why I mention all of that is just because I'm modeling for you, how I've gone about educating myself as well as studying leadership. So it is a lifelong process that, if you're interested in doing, it's something that you can take up the mantra and take the baton and run with it and become the future leader that educates and leads other people to success, right? So effective leaders should understand the motivations and expectations of those they lead. For these reasons, various leadership theories and models should be studied, understood, and adopted into one's leadership brand. So what is your leadership brand? I want you to start thinking deeply about that, because this can start your leadership process and who you want to be, who you already are, perhaps, and how you want to broadcast your leadership brand to the world. So leadership theory and models can be important tools managed by effective leaders in all settings. Finally, leaders are tasked with raising the leadership skill and abilities of others within their sphere of influence. I am an advocate of leadership study for anyone who works with others in any capacity. It is important that we understand how to motivate and inspire others to action in our own best practices as educators, trainers, and leaders. Okay, that concludes my talk for you today. Here are the references that I used. If you're interested in looking further into virtuous leadership, Alexandre Havard is the individual who coined the concept, virtuous leadership, and here are a couple of his books listed. And there is my book at the bottom where I take most of this content from. Thank you so much. It was my honor and my pleasure to present this for you today. And thank you so much. Have a great day. Goodbye.